Welcome back to another episode of Designing the Best You. Okay, this week we are going to be talking about nervous system regulation and why it's so important, okay, for your career, for your health, for your life, okay? So a lot of information, a lot of tips for you guys, and just really good information for you to have, okay? So we're going to dive right in. All right, so the nervous system, you're like, I kind of know what it is, but I don't, so I'm just going to give you the high level version of what the nervous system is. It's basically, it uses chemicals and electrical signals, okay, to process information and react to changes in the body. It's made up of the brain, right? Brain, our spinal cord, and our nerves. And those nerves, they run all the way from our brain, all the way down into our gut, legs, all that stuff, okay? And they're responsible for carrying messages just to different parts of the body. It's insane. I just praise God for how beautifully complex and intricately designed our body is. It's amazing. But it also makes it very difficult to heal things, right? And I think God did that on purpose. So I just want to go over some of the basics here and what you can do, like what is a regulated or dysregulated nervous system and what the symptoms are of it, and some things that you can do, okay? I want to make sure that every episode I'm trying to give you things you can do and you're not just left with information or left hanging. But I hope this resonates with you, and I hope that you're able to do something with it. So pause it, take notes, make sure you don't take notes when you're driving, things like that. So the nervous system is responsible for tons of different things. For example, communication. The nervous system, like I said, it communicates through different parts of the body with each other, the inside world and the outside world, right? It basically connects the two, okay? It's got our senses, right? The nervous system allows us to take in information through our senses of the seeing, the hearing, the touching, the tasting, the smelling, right? So cool. Don't ask me how it's done. It's a miracle, I say all the time. Processing. The nervous system is fully responsible for processing information and triggers, okay? Such as muscle pain, muscle pain, any kind of pain, muscle movement, okay? It's responsible for that stuff. Then you have basic functions, which I like to talk a lot about because a lot of you come to me and can't have some of the basic functionings. Like, well, you definitely come to me when you're breathing, but you've got breathing. Digestion is a huge one that you guys come to me with. Heart rate. Many of you come to me like, I have heart palpitations. Oh my goodness, what is going on? That's because your nervous system is dysregulated. Yes, it could be because of a medication or a food that you ingest that you're not supposed to. Yes, but a lot of times it's because of your nervous system being dysregulated, okay? Heart rate, sweating, shivering, cold intolerance, that type of stuff is highly related to your nervous system, the basic functions, okay? Then you've got movement, right? Physical movement, voluntary movement, like moving our arms and legs like I'm doing right now. A lot of people, we joke, we're like, oh, it's because we're whatever ethnicity. That's part of your nervous system, okay? And then you've got the big one that a lot of professionals are attacking these days in a good way, about our thoughts and feelings, okay? For years, this was, I don't want to say missed, but it was just put to the side. The nervous system is responsible for intelligence, learning, memory, thoughts, feelings. So when you guys say you have brain fog, your nervous system can be a part of that, okay? And I'd say that's a lot of things that one system is responsible for, and so we should really learn how to take care of it, right? I think so. I know if I would have known years and years and years ago about how to take care of my nervous system, right? We're all taught to eat the pyramid, which by the way, don't do that. It's not a good way to eat. Get physical movement, right? PE class and stuff like that. Learn whatever you got to learn in school, but no one teaches you how to regulate those emotions and the feelings and your nervous system in general, okay? So, but how do you know, right? As adults now, how do we know whether it's working right, working well, or not, right? A lot of you guys are highly educated professionals and corporate executives out there, and you're just incredibly intelligent, but like, how do you know when that is working well, right? What are the metrics behind it? Well, first of all, the important thing is having all of this essential information, this knowledge at your fingertips now. This is important information, guys. Listen up. It can help you understand and address chronic health issues, brain fog, things like that related to your nervous system dysregulation. And it provides you with the tools that you need to have to be able to start that journey or continue on that journey of becoming more regulated. My therapist had said a couple years ago, I joked, but I was serious at the same time. I was like, why can't I have a normal day? I just want no ups and downs, none. And she laughed and she goes, Vanessa, what's a heart rate? It goes up and down and up and down. And that's the only way you know that you're alive, up and down, up and down, up and down. We have to have our ups and downs. But a regulated system knows how to go up and down, up and down, up and down. A dysregulated system is going to constantly be up, 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 or down, 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 or they're going to start to flatline. And that's not what a thriving human deserves or needs, okay? So there's, again, I'm going to talk at a higher level here. We have our two major parts of our nervous system, and under one of those major parts, we have the autonomic nervous system. And this one a lot of people know about because it operates mostly unconsciously, and it controls essential functions like our heart rate and our digestion and our respiratory rate, and even that fight or flight, right, in the stressful situations that we all encounter, okay? And that fight or flight, or like we like to call stress response, is one of the most critical functions of the autonomic nervous system. And how do I want to explain it? It's an automatic reaction to perceived, not actual, but perceived threat or danger. Okay, and it's designed to protect us from harm. So those of you who've had complex trauma and things like that, and you really did experience some pretty traumatic abuse growing up, or you had a very traumatic event, that threat was real, okay? But a lot of times if that was complex or ongoing, your body doesn't, your mind may like, no, I'm not in danger, like what the heck? But your body's like, no, I'm still in danger type thing. So the autonomic nervous system, I want you, if you've been through those situations, to tell yourself thank you. Like, thank you for protecting me from harm. Even though it might not have been real harm in the years after, it was still protecting you, okay? But what happens is when that autonomic nervous stress response, that fight or flight, is triggered, and we've talked about this before, but I'm going to keep reiterating it for those of you just joining us later on in these episodes, that when it's triggered, it leads to psychological changes. And that's where the increased heart rate, the elevated blood pressure, sharpened mental focus, they're all aimed at enhancing our ability to face or escape that threat. That's important for survival. And problems, they can't arise when it becomes, like I said, that chronically activated or elevated. You've got the high cortisol going all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. Okay, and it leads to just extreme dysregulation. And I speak this from a professional level and a personal level. If I used profanity, I would use it right now. It just screws you up, okay, in every way, shape, or form, okay? It profoundly impacts all areas of health and life, and is the underlying cause of so many health issues, such as chronic stress, anxiety, burnout, and just other types of pain and illness. I mean, none of you have experienced burnout, have you? Insert sarcasm right here, okay? A regulated nervous system, guys, is so crucial for optimal health. That's what we should be striving for, is optimal health, because when we are healthy emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, how do we perform at work? Really well. How do we perform in our relationships? Really well. How do we perform at this stuff? Really, really well, right? And that's what we want to do, okay? So we want to maintain what's called we want to maintain homeostasis, okay? And that's like regulating body responses such as sleep, appetite and digestion, mood management, focus and attention, right? That general functioning of all of our systems, okay? That's what we want. And there's going to be times when our system becomes dysregulated. We're human, okay? And it can occur in different situations, right? But we have to understand what the causes are, and we have to understand when that happens, what to do, okay? So here's some causes of a dysregulated nervous system, okay? First one is chronic stress. I ain't gonna go into it. It's hypervigilance, overwhelm to the max, okay? Trauma, we've talked about that, okay? Emotional, physical, sexual trauma leads to all kinds of stuff. It even includes things like accidents, surgeries, abuse, witnessing distressful events, okay? We also have genetics. Guys, genetics, it does predispose you to the dysregulated nervous system. If you're in the womb and your mother was dealing with situations, you're going to be affected by it. They talk about generational trauma. You got to break the cycle. Otherwise, it does get passed down, okay? You've got lifestyle factors. You've got poor diet. You've got lack of physical activity, inadequate sleep. You've got stimulants such as caffeine and alcohol, other substances, certain medications that all leads to dysregulation. It overstimulates the nervous system when it's not necessary, okay? You've got underlying health conditions. You've got autoimmune diseases, fibromyalgia. You've got hormonal imbalances. You've got just all those different things. You've got nutritional deficiencies, mineral deficiencies, right? So many things contribute to this, all right? Environmental factors. We have so many toxins. I can even count the thousands of toxins that we have these days that we interact with on a daily basis. But things like heavy metals, pesticides, as I'm literally watching outside, our neighbors have their lawn sprayed right now. It's like, oh my gosh, it makes me nuts, okay? Mold, certain chemicals that you may clean with, stressors such as if you live in a busy city, noise pollution, or a high-stress work environment, okay? Understanding these causes is crucial to addressing the issue and beginning the journey towards a regulated system. It's also important to note that these factors can often interact. Okay, you're not going to just have one in solitude. You're going to have environmental issues on top of hormonal imbalances, on top of genetic predispositions, out of all that type of stuff, okay? Tons of things. And again, like I said earlier in the episode, what happens? We have a very beautiful, complex system that God created, and we make it more complex being here on earth. Most of it not our fault. Some of it we can take control of. But to try and untwist all of that and figure it out, it takes a lot, okay? But I also want to continue on this conversation and go into what some common signs, symptoms, whatever word you want to use for a dysregulated nervous system, because you're like, okay, great. I know what causes it. I know what it is. How do I know if I have it, right? So when you recognize those signs or symptoms, it's going to help you so much. It's the first step to regulation and optimal health, okay? So the first one is going to be huge for a lot of you guys, especially as summer's coming in. We've got kids coming home. Maybe it's your busy season at work. Maybe you've got family coming in town. You're planning a vacation, whatever it is, okay? But the first one is you're constantly on edge and overwhelmed. Raise your hand if you've been there, okay? That is the first thing. You're not able to let go, or you feel like there's too many demands on your attention and energy. You feel like you can't keep up with everything, and you're worrying about what's next. Okay, it's that hypervigilance again. Okay, maybe you have difficulty relaxing. It's difficult for you to calm your mind enough to get in that state of relaxation. Okay, maybe you're just thinking about your to-do list. Maybe you're worried about a health concern. Maybe you're worried about a relationship or your job if you're going to have it. Okay, you're just overwhelmed. Second one kind of plays into this first one is you're frequently snappy and you're irritable and you're just like reactive. That's what I want to say. Like you're reactive. Okay. Someone says something, you're like, ah! Okay. And guys, it's not just women that time of month. This is a dysregulated nervous system. Okay. So if you feel like you're not able to manage your emotional stress, that's huge. That's a sign of that your nervous system is not regulated. Okay. You might be frustrated and angry and antsy all at once. Maybe you wonder why you can't control your emotions, especially if you're swinging from like one extreme to the other, right? Okay, so maybe you tend to overreact in certain situations. It sucks, right? But that's a sign or symptom. Another one is you're experiencing some chronic pain or illness. You're like, oh my gosh, like why is this still here? The symptom's still here. Why is this pain still here? Okay, when you have flare-ups on a regular basis, if you have autoimmune conditions, maybe you're just like, I just had a piece of regular bread and why am I just so irritable and oh my gosh, all the things, okay? That's your body is giving you a sign, a signal saying, hey, I'm experiencing some high levels of sympathetic arousal and it's now turning into something physical that you're dealing with, okay? You might feel like those symptoms are never going away. You have trouble sleeping, and you can't think about how bad the pain is on your head and the headaches and oh my gosh, it's nonstop, right? Okay, that's huge. Another one that again, these all are kind of playing into each other. If you see, you're highly sensitive to sensory stimuli. We have a lot of people out there who are highly sensitive, we're saying these days. If you are overwhelmed by strong sensory stimuli and probably identify as a highly sensitive person, loud noises, certain smells, being in big crowds, certain other sensory inputs. A lot of times I couldn't wear like collared shirts, or I couldn't have my hair down because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't, oh my gosh. Or for example, my husband, when he wears like a button up shirt and he's in his dysregulated state, he's like just touching it and playing with the buttons and like can't have it. That's when you're noted as a highly sensitive person, or you always have to be wrapped up in something soft. You have to be swinging, those type of things. I don't want you guys to think that you're bad if any of these things are happening to you. Your system's just dysregulated, okay? There's nothing wrong with you in any way, shape, or form, okay? This is why I talk about this, to show that you're not alone and that there are ways to take those steps to optimal health, okay? Another big one too is you experience sleep problems. Maybe you are, you're yawning and you're feeling groggy during the day, but then like 6-7 p.m. comes around, you're like, hello, I'm wired, I'm awake, I'm ready to go, but it's supposed to be bedtime and I'm calming down. And then, your sleep cycle is basically disrupted. Maybe you're able to fall asleep really well, but you can't stay asleep. Maybe you're waking up every night at 12:30 or at 3, or you're waking up, even worse, like 4:30 or 5, and you're like, oh, I really have like another hour of sleep and this is bogus, right? Maybe you wake up and your like heart rate's going, or maybe you're too hot, maybe you're too cold. Those are hormonal imbalances too, okay, that can keep you going. Maybe you're in a noisy environment. There's some things that we can't control. Our kids come and wake us up. We might live in a noisy neighborhood, whatever it is. But then what happens is, if you're not getting regular sleep you're not getting quality sleep on a regular basis, what's happening? You don't have enough energy for your daily task, or you can't enjoy activities during the day with your friends, your family, your coworkers, right? And it's hard for you to get motivated, and you're exhausted all the time. And then people start noticing and you're like, this sucks, but I don't know how to get out of this cycle. Been there, okay? The next one is you have chronic attention and concentration problems. Now I want to be careful with this one. This is my personal and professional opinion. I think too many people, kids and adults, are being, quote, diagnosed with ADHD or attention issues, and practitioners aren't taking the time to figure out what's going on. Why are they like that? Why? Now, there are a lot of cases that it's necessary, but if you have a hard time focusing on tasks and you're feeling anxious and you can't sit still and oh my gosh, and you're always on the lookout for danger and stuff like that, and there's no dangerous situation, or you're misplacing things and then you get mad at yourself for misplacing things, and then like you don't feel like you're as sharp as you used to, you're blaming it on age or a midlife crisis. Like, guys, can those things be real? Yes, but there's most likely it is a dysregulated nervous system, okay? Another one is you have cravings and extreme appetite changes, okay? Extreme. And I know this, I'll give myself as an example. We have a major change in our family life right now that's going to be happening in a few weeks, and I'll share that in a few weeks. And it has sent all of us into some kind of dysregulation. It's not a bad thing. It is actually a really good thing. But how each of our bodies and our family has been responding and reacting to this new situation is a challenge. And in all of that, a lot of our, like my personal eating habits have changed, and I've put on weight. Now, if any of you guys know me personally or have seen me, I'm a pretty thin person. And when I ran the tests that I run on you guys on me, like I do every 6 to 12 months, I was like, what is going on here? Like, why? But I had answers, and I'm like, oh, okay. This is because my system is dysregulated, related to stress, and this is what I got to do about it. But what happens is your appetite is going to go up and down and up and down. Maybe you're not hungry at all. Maybe you just feel like you can't eat enough. It doesn't matter what type of food, what kind of nutrient dense, you're like a growing teenager, right? You just can't stop eating. Maybe your hormones are in this just constant state of flux and it causes changes to your appetite. Maybe there's just binges with no apparent trigger. Maybe one minute you're eating average amounts of food, the next minute you're overwhelmed and you're wanting to consume an excessive amount of sugar and fat and salt, and then maybe you're like grossed out by it. So if you're having troubles controlling what you eat, that can be a sign that something's not right. And with the way that your nervous system regulates the metabolism. Okay, and there's many things that regulate the metabolism, but the nervous system is one thing that does trigger the metabolism. Okay. Then the next one, again, plays into it, hormonal and immune symptoms, okay? Like I said, the nervous system regulates every single system in your body, okay? And so when one of the most common symptoms, like I said with myself, was you have a response to stressors, right? Hormonal imbalances. For example, I typically have normal estrogen levels, and my past test, I had very high level. And I was like, no wonder I'm gaining weight. My body's like building fat to protect itself. Like, what's going on here type thing. But that is a response. I was literally catching every cold. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a practitioner. How is this happening? But I'm human too, okay? And so my immune system was suppressed as a result of my nervous system not being regulated. And this happens so much with my clients too, okay? You also have, and it leads into the next one too, skin and gut conditions, okay? People who suffer from, and I'm just going to say it as it is, okay, because it's truth and it's fact and data related, okay? People who deal with IBS, rosacea, you guys suffer from a dysregulated nervous system, okay? I have some IBS symptoms and stuff going on. I have a dysregulated nervous system, okay, because of situations going on in our personal life, okay? And one thing I want to remind you guys of as you're going through this and you're like, oh my gosh, Vanessa, I'm meeting like all of those criteria, oh my gosh, is give yourself some compassion and grace, because now you actually have information. You might not have all the detailed information, the labs and stuff like that. That's what I'm here for. But you do have information. You're like, okay, that is me. All right, I have information now. Okay, now what's my next step? Okay, so that's huge. But often when people have things like rosacea or IBS or IBD or any of those type of things, any skin or rash issues, I mean, I remember years ago, I broke out in hives, rash, welts, whatever it was, they couldn't figure it out. No one asked about my nervous system. No one took the time to understand what was going on in my life. And we were just trying to get it to go away. And that's what a lot of times we do, is we just try to get whatever it is to go away so we can feel somewhat normal. When if we don't understand the root cause, or at least close to the root cause, like telling someone you have to reduce stress, which was always, I hear this from clients all the time. The doctor just told me to reduce stress. Like, what the heck does that mean? Okay. If you don't ask about their life and give them specific things to do, that's what I do. All right. I do that with people. But when you're told to reduce stress in your life, but you have a hard time understanding what to do and how to heal, right? But once you're able to take care of your nervous system health, people who have these skin and gut conditions, you end up creating a resilient, a resilient and regulated system. I have seen this in case studies and in a few clients here recently, actually, and a lot of them right after COVID. The rosacea and their IBS, those skin, the hives. I know when I regulated my nervous system, that went away. It subsided. Okay. So a lot of things there's a saying out there, and forgive me, I can't remember exactly who coined it, but it's our genes. What is it? Our genes load the gun, but our lifestyle pulls the trigger. Okay. The stress is pulling the trigger and it's activating. We all have genes that can activate this, that have these things in it. We all have thyroid things that can be activated. We all have, whatever, all these different things. Okay. Some of us have more prevalent genes than others, more dominant genes than others. But if your lifestyle is consistently pulling the trigger, you're gonna experience a boom, right? You're gonna experience that, okay? So I hope that makes sense to you. And then another one too, this is huge, and this has come out over the last couple years in I would say a pretty big and profound way, is that your system's dysregulated when you're highly sensitive to other people's emotional states. Maybe you identify as an empath, okay? But your sensitivity to other people's emotional states is actually damaging your mental and physical health in the long run, right? Maybe if you're parentified when you're younger too, this may be a combination of being an empath or being parentified, is you feel the need to take care of everyone, right? Even when they're not asking for the help, right? You're like, I have to take care of them. I have to take care of them. And no matter how much you do, there's never enough that can be done for the other people. And you end up risking your own health, and you get drained. And that leaves you feeling miserable and resentful towards the people. And I say this because I do this too, okay? And if you're resentful towards the person who is taking your energy without giving, well, they never asked you in the first place, okay? We all have, I believe, innately a desire to help other people. But when we take it too far and we're not taking care of ourselves first, right? Put on your own oxygen mask, then that's when we get ourselves into trouble. We have this dysregulated nervous system, and just all these things that I just mentioned just come tumbling down, right? So if you've recognized that you have one, two, multiple, all of the signs that I listed of a dysregulated nervous system, the next step is to learn how to regulate it, okay? And regulating it, it's not a one and done. It's not, here's a checklist. It's not overnight. It is a combination of, what do I want to call it? It's a combination of appropriate interventions and lifestyle changes. And this is a big one, especially in our world today: patience and consistency. I think I mentioned this last week that I go through and I use a lot Primal Trust Academy. And there's a lot of really good tools in the toolbox there that if you don't practice them every single day, just like somatic work too. I'll actually put a link to the somatic nervous system reset that I have found so incredibly beneficial. I'm not an affiliate with any of them, but I do know this somatic one too. I can give you guys the link for it, and it's very reasonably priced too. But if you're not practicing those things on a regular basis and getting your nervous system regulated, I'm telling you, it's going to affect your career. And there's a reason I didn't talk about in this episode how each one of these affects your career. I think you guys can see that and you can correlate the two, right? If you're feeling other people's feelings and you're not taking care of yourself, are you really getting the job done? You're probably working more hours, right, to get the job done at work, right? It's affecting into your family life. So I don't need to go into that. But the good news, like I said, if you have the right interventions, it is possible to regulate your nervous system. And healing your nervous system, it's going to take time. I've been working on mine for 3 years now. And I still have, like with our situation personally, I'm like, why am I acting this way, right? Because my system wasn't regulated. And I was just telling a client yesterday, I was like, I have my regulation tools put up on my wall here where I work every single day, and I still didn't use them this time. And that happens. But if you have the tools, and I always say make them visible, whatever the ones work for you, it's huge, okay? It's possible to help regulate your nervous system. And it's going to take time, but it's so worth the effort. I'm so happy I found out how to regulate my nervous system as much as I possibly can in some situations. And we want to do this, guys, because the health of your nervous system affects your quality of life on a day-to-day basis. And the earlier you begin to heal, now you have the knowledge, now you have to do something with it, guys, okay? But the earlier you begin to heal and feel better. We get to, guys, take charge of how we're responding to things in our minds and our feelings, changing our bodies, and ultimately changing that trajectory of our career, our health, and our life, okay? And when we overcome these hidden roadblocks, such as our nervous system and being dysregulated, okay, we can face each day differently. So if you are ready to build a flexible, thriving nervous system, start feeling calm and more in control, not trying to push control like we've talked about before, but be softer and advance your career, you gotta book a call with me and using the link in the show notes, and we're gonna go through your struggles, your symptoms, and I'm gonna provide you with valuable resources, a proven system, and hands-on guidance and support in strengthening not just your nervous system, but your overall health and career. Until next time, guys, keep on designing the best you.